Yes. Hey, look at all the people that are here. What's up, everybody? All right. So
Everyone get your reading glasses.
this was written by our
Um,
friends over at the Mountain. We're actually members of our Discord. Good friend who contacted us when they were looking to start a newsletter and a news site. And it may not be content that I always agree with, but I think they do a terrific job at assembling content, at aggregating it. And what they do is they kind of take a bunch of different, more mainstream-y articles, but they kind of write a summary of what the story is. So this is the
I thought
story
they
about
had
what happened in
killed the
was.
mountain in the end.
This is
What?
what's that?
It was just Game of Thrones spoilers. Don't worry about it.
Ah,
Um,
so one of the people doing
I
that
know
is
that guy.
Valera Voce over there, and Wisconsin judge
Sounds like a
orders
Game of
at
Thrones name.
nice. So we've got a Wisconsin judge who ordered at-will employees to stay at their jobs, and I know that this was covered by one guy this week on Monday on his show, and I actually did not get a chance to watch that segment. Pretty popular dude out there, but there's a bunch of angles to this story, and it's pretty crazy. So first of all, you've got at-will employees at this health system. And I've done a little bit of research. I read a couple of the stories here, the background. So essentially what you had are two not-for-profit, this is really important, they're both not-for-profit healthcare systems. Nobody's talked about that. So what's happening here? They're being squeezed because they're relying on funding and a competitive marketplace. They've had to make cutbacks. This is again, we talk about Medicare for all, and this is exactly what's going on here and why. Now, is government healthcare going to be any better? Are they going to staff up properly, or are they going to? I don't know what the answer to that is, but basically, so there are two not-for-profit health systems. You have this Theta Care, which is a regional Wisconsin one. Okay, and they have about $1 billion in revenue annually, and they're what's considered a small hospital system. They only have 14 hospitals in Wisconsin, and they had in order, and I'll go through the article in more depth. Again, recent case has shown the contradictions of at-will employment when the judge ordered workers who wanted to take up new jobs that they had to stay at their current positions for an unspecified length of time until their old company could hire replacements. Now, as it turns out, it worked out well, and it happened pretty quickly. I think it was even within a day. And there was an injunction ordered that reversed the original judge's order, which was on a Friday, and they were supposed to start work at the new place on Monday morning, and they were ordered to stay at their existing job on Monday. I think by Monday afternoon they were able to go to the new job. But it's really interesting as I look a little bit deeper into what's going on here. So Theta Care leaders said Ascension recruited several of Theta Care's employees from its interventional radiology and cardiovascular team. So one of the applicants in the dispute said that the pay, the benefits, and the lifestyle options offered by Ascension were better. That's fair. But the employees were part of an 11-member interventional radiology and cardiovascular team, which can perform procedures to stop bleeding in targeted areas during a traumatic injury or restore blood flow to the brain in case of a stroke. I mean, look, they are critical employees. There is one of them effectively for the entire hospital. Now, is that the problem of the employee? No, especially not an at-will employee. It's the problem of the health system, the $1 billion in revenue annual health system, to make sure that you have enough coverage to do that. Now, the health system would say that we lost $1 billion last year, or we lost X amount of money in the last 2 years due to the pandemic, due to staffing troubles, due to XYZ. And this is where we're running into it. Part of it is the multi-tiered for-profit insurance system that goes on. Okay, because while the hospital is not for profit, the care is still for profit. The drugs are still for profit. Everything that they have to serve is still for profit, right? So, despite the importance of their job, each of the employees was employed at will and were under no obligation to stay at their positions. Employer who had interest in their workers staying in the position could form contracts with their workers to ensure they remain for a fixed time where interval where the contract could be renewed. But apparently relying on court orders is a more convenient alternative, right? So they requested the injunction on Friday. On Monday, so Ascension responded. ThedaCare had an opportunity. Now, here's the thing that's crazy. So ThedaCare puts this injunction in and says Ascension poached our workers away. Now, what?
Right.
How long ago did they announce this? This was announced. They resigned in December. It's not like ThedaCare didn't have weeks to start staffing up. I mean, I get that it can take more than a few weeks to hire 7 highly trained specialists in a certain
people, right.
So
this is the classic. I mean, I heard this story is essentially like, it's these people leaving to go find better jobs, right, and then not being able to, right?
Effectively, but it's not that they're not able to, because they are, and they're now what's kind of messed up is that this new position, these new places, able to pay them substantially more and give them a better quality of life. Why? And it's that in itself is a problem for sure. Again, I really like the angle that they went for here, though, that while there's a clear concern of how healthcare staff moving from hospital to hospital could impact patient care, which is what the court ruling was talking about, okay, that 18% of healthcare workers have quit their jobs during the pandemic. And 79% have said that shortages have affected them in their workplace. Morning Consult found 31% of the remaining healthcare workers considered leaving their employer, while the American Association of Critical Care Nurses found 2/3 of acute and critical care nurses have thought about quitting nursing entirely, just getting out. All right. So seeing friends and coworkers and the same virus and die. I mean, it's, they've been dealing with the worst of it for 2 years. And, so these people, they got quote unquote poached, but they were offered a better deal. And so if ThedaCare could not offer competitive wages in a labor drought, they shouldn't be able to use the court to turn at-will employees into their corvée labor. Okay, at-will employees without the at-will is truly the worst and most grotesque situation for workers. Again, chained to their desks when the boss needs to, and they're fired at will when the boss doesn't need them anymore. I think that's a little bit hyperbolic, considering what actually went down in the end. Okay, and World Socialist website also had this story, and
covered this.
Kevin Reed did an awesome job. He's one of the good ones over there for sure.
So let me read that second paragraph real quick. So in response to requests from ThedaCare, at Gaming Council County Circuit Court Judge Mark McGinnis had imposed the injunction on the workers last Friday, barring them from starting new positions at Ascension Northeast Wisconsin and nearby Ableton, Wisconsin, right? So
right in Appleton. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So again, it was 4 technicians and three nurses who were part of an 11-member interventional radiology and cardiovascular team, right? So the reason why they had accepted the offers in December and were planning to start Monday. Now, had they resigned from ThedaCare? I believe they had. All right. And that gave ThedaCare weeks to either transfer people inside their health system to that to cover, or hire from outside to be able to cover it. Now, what happened was, that they were going to lose their status as a level 2 trauma center. Okay, and that is a lucrative status, apparently. And again, for profit, no, but you still need dollars to operate. So these statuses are important for obtaining, especially as a nonprofit, funding. In order to meet certain requirements, in order to qualify to get nonprofit money from the government for healthcare, you would need to have these centers and these things in place. Would be my guess. I'm not a specialist when it comes to healthcare stuff.
Right.
So The lawyer representing Ascension said that it was poor management into a disruptive personal. Yeah, they turned their poor management into a disruptive personal emergency for everyone, anyone but itself. And again, they knew they also could not successfully make a counter to these employees to retain them. So they were offered the chance to match or improve on the Ascension offer, and even though these were one-off critical people, the smaller health system, ThedaCare, just could not afford it or would not afford it. 7,000 employees, annual revenues of approximately $1 billion. Okay, it says that Ascension, this is ThedaCare, Ascension's CEO, they're a privately held company, so they don't disclose what their CEO is paid. Their last CEO in 2014 earned $18 million, so we know he's probably not earning less than $18 million. My guess would be substantially more.
Right. So they offered him what at Ascension? Received.
Well, no, that's the CEO, but Ascension offered more money than ThedaCare because ThedaCare has $1 billion, whereas Ascension has $15.5 billion, and they're spread out over a multitude of states. ThedaCare is only in 14 Northeast communities in Wisconsin. The truth is that they're probably going to end up getting swallowed up by a larger health system.
Makes sense.
The
for-profit one just going to come eat the little fish.
Well, you know what? Ascension is also not for profit. Again, not for profit doesn't mean not for money. So they still have to pay competitive salaries. They still have to buy equipment. Yep. They still have to buy drugs. Okay, so I just looked a little bit.
A larger resource pool, right? Yeah.
15 times the resource pool based on what I'm looking at. But then again, they've got 50. How many times the amount of hospitals? I think there's 150 hospitals in that system. So you're talking about 10 times the hospitals and 15 times the money. There's a little bit more money. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Ascension Health is a for-profit company.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Company type for-profit, but it does say non-profit here. And it is it's something about a Catholic charity. So I think that there's definitely questions here as to what their status is.
Yeah, for sure. Because is it religious exemption almost for part of it?
Yeah, see, it says right here, the largest non-profit health system in the United States. It says right there in the about, okay? But here it says company type. That's got to be a mistake because they're clearly a non-profit. They've made 2 acquisitions. Here are their investments. And again, maybe this is where they've got their. Again, this is where we need like a Robbie Yeager, someone who follows the money.
Yeah.
They've got a venture fund. This is where they talked about their $15 billion venture capital fund is what's running this nonprofit system.
Cheetah Medical,
Allegan General Hospital, Presence Health Network. Interesting stuff. This is, by the way, Crunchbase that I'm looking at, which is an excellent resource for learning about companies and doing deep dives into corporate structure. In contrast, ThedaCare. Okay, this is kind of like a little about ThedaCare to show you what's up with them.
Right, 14 counties.
Right, where their locations are. Pretty tight-knit area. Yeah. And it's
there at the base of the thumb.
And they're serving the community with 100 years and 6,800 employees. Now again, clearly they're not necessarily the greatest place to work because a bunch of people were bailing to go over to this other division, to this other health system. But look, you've had a great resignation where people have started to reevaluate and poke their heads up and see what's going on out there and what's my market value and can I get a better deal? Can I get a better life? Can I get a better working situation? And it's certainly in everybody's interest to explore that, to bone up your resume, to brush up your resume and put it out there. You never know what's going, who's going to find it and what they're going to offer. And, the only risk there is that your current employer finds it, but you can always just say, look, I keep a current resume out there because you never know. Again, I'm a fan of these employees. I absolutely think that they have a right to work wherever they want to work. I think that it's a tough situation when it comes to the two health systems and the judge. I'm not thrilled with what the judge did. I think that was, looking at the health interests of the community, quote unquote, by not having a level 2 staffed a facility, but not holding Theta Care accountable to that is unacceptable. And I'm glad that they're already at work. And I did read down here that by Monday afternoon they were back. Oh yeah, this one looked at how much Ascension received in pandemic funds, right? Yeah. And that the corporation operates a VC fund with $15.5 billion in cash. But I know that
there's a lot of money involved in all of this.
Just that they did say that they were at their new jobs by Monday afternoon, effectively.
Yeah. Temporary restraining order.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's what kept them at their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the judge sided with Ascension and lifted the injunction on Monday afternoon.
Okay.
Now, also, when did these Theta Care employees, when did the Theta Care employees resign? Did they give a full month's notice? Did they? Now it says they accepted the jobs at Ascension in December, but did they notify Theta Care when they accepted the jobs? Because not everybody does that right away.
Does that right away. I mean, you would then have to give your 2 weeks, and then, and that's depending on, a lot of places want more than 2 weeks, so,
right. It's just an interesting story. Again, it impacted people over 6 hours, but what it did was it really looked to try to set some type of precedent. Exactly. And that's what was fascinating to me. I didn't see too many people talk about it because it didn't really make a huge difference, but I thought it was really interesting.
No, but it could have made a difference for, future civil cases, right?
Absolutely. That's where my concern is.
It still might. Well, now it still might, right? Where, if that does happen, but things are slightly different, well, now you're stuck like going with that precedent since it was the last legal thing that was similar, right? So,
right.